Okay guys, so I just got off a one-on-one coaching call. I literally just finished that and I had to make this video for you guys. The information I cover off in this coaching call was unintentionally one of the best ways of describing how I do my Facebook optimization process. I know a lot of you guys have asked me about how I specifically go about optimizing, and in this call, I cover that off in a lot of detail, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But for those who don't know who I am, quickly, my name is Jimmy. Everyone calls me Uncle Jimmy. And I've been running my agency, My Online Guide, for 8.5 years. And I've coached over 500 SMMA owners on how to deliver an incredible service to their clients so that they keep clients forever. And if you want to learn more about that, you can check out my school group in the description below. But let's get straight into this video because I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm dropping bombs like this 3 times a week. This is like my workflow. So basically, like, this is under the pretense that you don't have a proven ad already, right? So you don't have an ad, like a library ad in your library that you just pull off the shelf and use. Basically, we start all non-proven ads as a dynamic creative ad. So you know what dynamic creatives are? Have you heard of that?
I saw it in the group, but
Yeah, so effectively, dynamic creatives is just a checkbox when you set up the ad set and what it allows you to do. So you can always put in multiple headlines and descriptions in an ad, but dynamic creatives allows you to put multiple creatives in there too. So you can have multiple creatives under one ad, which effectively eliminates the need to like set up multiple ads in one ad set. So like dynamic creatives, like when you have multiple ads under one ad set and you're testing that way, the primary goal of the ad set is to actually like the primary goal of the ad set of the ads is to actually get as many leads as possible. Now, if one of those ads happens to jag a lead in the first like 10 minutes, it may not be the best ad, but because Facebook's goal is to prioritize leads, it's going to push that one and not give budget to the other ones because this goal is to like get as many leads. So it's actually not to test. So people put multiple ads in an ad set thinking it's testing, but actually it's not doing anything. It's like, it's just giving it options and it's picking one of those options and running with it. So what DCT does is it's still not testing per se, because the only way you can really test is by doing A/B split testing. But what it does is adds an extra layer to it where it's like, the goal is to get as many leads, but for it to be able to do that, it needs to like try different combinations of ads to determine that. So there's an element of it trying different stuff before it makes that call of like going down one path. And because it's trying different stuff, then it can actually, you can actually like pick the winners out of the combinations and like turn them into an ad and run with that. So basically what we do is we set up a DCT test, checkbox, come up with 3 creatives that are very, very different. So we're not talking like the same picture, like 3 different ways. We're talking about like 3 different distinct variations of it. So it might be a pitch, like if we were doing a real estate ad, it might be like a picture of a person standing in front of a real estate sign, like a for sale sign. It might be a picture of a house, and it might be a picture of a suburb with a text on it, right? So like 3 different complete modalities of approach. Same with the primary text. We're doing 2 different complete variations of primaries. So it's not like the same thing written a different way. It's like you might have a long ad and a short ad, say for instance. Same with headlines, 2 different headlines, 2 different descriptions, and you can only have 1 lead form. So just the 1 lead form. Then what you do is you wait 48 hours, and then you're just going to check the click-through rate and the link click-through rate of the images and text. Now, in this case, we don't actually do checking of conversion rate, because when you got so many variations, the lead form's not generally optimized for any of them, right? Because they're so distinct. We haven't like aligned the lead form with the copy. So we're really just focusing on click-through rate. It's like dynamic creatives is a way of like getting the highest click-through rate from the start, basically. So we're going to look at the link click-through rate and the click-through rate, all of the images and text. If none of the combinations are above a 0.5% link click-through rate, we start again, because like we just have no winners. So we start again, and you start the process of ideating an ad again and running again. If you do have one that's above 0.5%, if there's one combination that's performing significantly better, so when you're like breaking down the dynamic creatives, if there's like one image that's like 50% better from a click-through rate perspective than the others, and there's one text that's 50% better than the others, we then move into like turning that into its own ad, which is up here. If not, you wait 36 more hours, And then you just look at the key metrics to determine which is the most suitable ad. And once that's determined, then we pull that ad out. So you might not have one that's like 50% better, but you give it more time, one will start to peel out based off ad spend and things like that. So that's what that video is going to be about. I haven't done it yet, but that's what that video is going to be about. If you don't, and then what you do is you remove the winning combination and create a new test doing the same thing using the winner structure. So let's say, for instance, the real estate agent in front of the for sale sign was the winning creative and the long form text was the winning text. Then what you're going to do is create 3 creatives that are similar to that. So you've got a winning formula. You're going to test variations of that formula now. So it might be 2 different ad angles, like one about getting a valuation. One might be like downsizing your home, but written in long form. And then the images might be of a family standing in front of a for sale sign and really zoomed in on the for sale sign, but we know it's around the for sale sign. The best way to think about this is the game Guess Who with all the people on the board. It's Guess Who, right? So when a lot of people do their testing, they basically go, is it an African American with no hair? And if they're right, they win. If they're wrong, they knock down like 3 people. What we're trying to do here is knock down half the board. So like this is basically going, is a male or female? It's the equivalent of doing that, right? Once we know it's a male, then this is the equivalent of going, is it a male with a mustache? Knock off half the board again. Then the next test is like, it's a male with a mustache. Does he have a hat on? Knock half again. And eventually you get to the point where you're just knocking down big swaths of things. So you're only left with like 3 or 4 dudes left, right? Those 3 or 4 dudes then become our proven ads because we know it's one of them 4, right? So what we do then is we make a second ad set. So this ad set's called testing, and it's a DCT ad, which is set at ad set level. Then we make a second ad called production. And what production is basically where we put our winning ads, right? And at any one time, there's only one winning ad running. The rest that come out of this like DCT testing just get turned off and put on top of this one. So we make a production ad set out of the winning combination. So we have the winning combination of ad. We make a new ad, call it production, keep the ad set broad, and then we wait 96 hours. So what's that, 4 days? And then the next step of this is the client happy? Sometimes you just do that and it starts yielding results and the client's stoked because you're getting a high conversion rate, they're getting leads, they're happy. The thing that people don't understand when we're running an agency, we're not media buyers, right? We're agency owners. And because of that, we're focusing on trying to get the best results. And the best results for us is a happy client, because if a client's happy, it means they're leaving us alone. If they're unhappy, it means we're having to do work, right? And when we're doing work, we're eating up margin. So it's like in the agency space, it's a game of preserving margin, not generating and like not getting the absolute best results ever that anyone's ever seen. I don't give a shit about that. It's because the way I think about it is like the client's either going to be happy or unhappy. There's no in between. So if they're unhappy, we need to do work to make them happy. If they're happy, me doing extra work is not going to make them more happy. They're not going to pay me anymore for being happier. So we get them to the point where they're happy, and then we leave them alone and focus on the people that are unhappy. Because when you get the scale, you're going to always have a portion of people that are unhappy. So you need to focus the agency's energy and attention on them and not on the happy people, right? So from there, if they're happy, we go down this process of turning it into a proven ad, put it in our library, and just monitor lead quality and make feedback to the ad based off the lead quality. If they're not happy, which is what's most likely going to happen at the very start, you're going to have KPI check. So if the ads are within KPI, which in what I consider KPI is like 1.5% click-through rate and a 10% conversion rate. If they are there and the client is not happy, then you need to have a meeting about setting proper expectations. Like, this is a good result for an ad. If they're not within KPI, which is 1.5% and 10% conversion rate, then we're going to focus on this crocodile model. So basically, the premise behind this is there's really only 2 things in an ad that we have really direct control over. The rest of everything else is like indications, but you really do have direct control over click-through rate, like how good your ad is, and you do really have control over conversion rate, which is generally how good your lead form or your landing page is, right? So they're the two elements we can directly affect. All the other metrics in Facebook are indicators. So I focus on those two. I try and keep my process as simple as possible because if it's simple, it's scalable. So if you think about where the crocodile to the boat analogy came from, is that like if you think about if you were on a creek in a canoe with one paddle and there was two crocodiles coming towards you, one with a hat on that said click-through rate, another one that said conversion rate. At any one time, one of those is close to you relative to the other one. So one's going to be closer than the other. Your job is to smack the one on the head that's closest to you and keep smacking it until it goes behind the other one, and then keep smack that one until that's behind, to the point where there's always going to be one close to you, but they're so far away they're not a threat anymore, which is this KPI, 1.5% and 10%. So the first thing we need to establish is our what's the closest crocodile to the boat? Is it conversion rate? Like, are we getting no leads or minimal leads? Or is our click-through rate really low? If it's click-through rate, if our conversion rate is less than 5%, then we need to focus on our conversion rate, even if the click-through rate's really low, because we're going to try and make the most of the people that are actually clicking. If our click-through rate's above 5% and our click-through rate is really low, then we need to move on to fixing our ad. So we'll go down this right path first, and then we'll go down the left path. So if your link click-through rate is 50%, about 50% of your click-through rate all, so you have link click-through rate and click-through rate all. Your link click-through rate is basically anytime anyone clicks the button or the ad. Your click-through rate all is that plus any other clicks that happen, like people clicking read more, people clicking to start a video, people clicking to make an image bigger. That's all considered part of, people just randomly clicking the ad, that's all considered part of click-through rate all, right? So generally, your link click-through rate is never going to be more than 50% of the click-through rate all, because it's just one of those numbers, right? Like it's just never really more than half of it. So if it's less than 50% of the link click-through rate all, then you want to focus on the copy of the ad, because there's upside potential to move it, making that higher, right? If it's 50% if it's 50% of the click-through rate all, then we need to focus on our elements that people can see on the ad, which is the image, the headline, and the first sentence of the ad, to make them better so that there's more upside potential for your copy to work. So that's basically the delineation. If it's more than 50, if it's like close to 50% of your click-through rate all, then you want to focus on your creatives, headlines, and first sentence. And you're going to check the dynamic element segment to see which one you focus on first of those three. Then basically you make a change to your creative or your headline or your first sentence. And then basically any change I make incrementally to an ad, I duplicate the old ad. So I turn the old ad off, I duplicate it, make the changes to the new ad, and turn the new ad on in the same ad set. And the reason for that is it kind of creates a checkpoint or a save point so that you can always go back to that. Let's say you make a change and it makes the click-through rate all worse. You can always turn that off and go back to where you were and just pick up where you left off and try something else. So if you make the iterations in the same ad without duplicating it, what happens is you start to feed that ad bad data, because like if you make a change and it's worse, it's going to start looking for different people, which creates like this downward spiral of performance. So if we separate each change, then if it's no good, we kind of sanitize it in a way and leave it in the corner. And then we just tweak, wait 48 hours or 20 clicks. And then if the click-through rate all incrementally improved 1% or more, we keep the current ad on. If it didn't improve or it got worse, then we roll back to the previous ad and start again. Then we do exactly the same thing if it's less. We just focus on the copy though. So we duplicate the ad, turn the old ad off, make new tweaks, and we're going to tweak 1 to 2 sentences of the ad max at any one time. Like I see a lot of people when they are trying to improve their copy, they change too much at once and then they don't know what worked, right? So they'll go and change it fundamentally and then like, oh, now it's working, but they can't replicate it because they have no idea which bit made it better. You're best off like starting at the top and working your way down, doing a sentence at a time, or a sentence or two at a time. That way, you know what's actually making it work. And then you can like iterate the ad based off what's working. So if you know that you making it more aggressive or making it angrier or something like that made it better, then you can just continue to make the rest of the ad angry. But you can do that based off the fact that it worked for the previous section, it should work for the next section. And eventually you work all the way through the ad that way. And then you wait a minimum of 48 hours or 20 clicks. And then did the clicks rate incrementally improve by 0.1%? If it did, keep it on. If it didn't, roll back and rinse and repeat. I literally, that's how I fault find, man. It's as simple as that. It's not a complex process, but it's methodical. And because it's methodical, there's a little bit of nuance along the way that you just learn from doing it that can make it shortcut potentially. But like, because it's nuanced, it removes the whole like panic mode people get into when they're doing ads and like, oh, I don't know what to change, because you literally just follow the bouncing ball. You just follow it around until the point where the client's happy. And that's it. That's all there is to ads, man. Like it is as simple as that. It's just the nuanced parts of like knowing what to change in the body copy and what to say. But like, that's just practice and learning, honestly. But like the process itself is not overly complex.
Yeah, I guess thank you for sharing that with me, by the way, first of all. I guess I sort of understand the whole premise of if something's not working, of course you don't just keep doing it. You have to try and find something else that is going to work. For me, I guess maybe the confusion just sort of came whereby I didn't know what metric meant what, if that makes sense. So let's say the click-through rate was low. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did have a low click-through rate a while ago, and I sort of thought to myself, right, why would somebody actually click in the first place? And I said, right, well, I need to give them a reason to click. Why do people do stuff? Well, because obviously they need an incentive or whatever. And I came up with this like repackaged offer thing. So I only have, I've only ever worked with 3 clients. One of them I'm still with. I've had him on for 3 months, and I've been getting him some really good results, which I'm quite happy with. He does like exterior cleaning of properties.
Yep.
So like roof cleaning and stuff here. I'm based in Ireland. We have like pretty bad weather, so everybody's house gets all like algae and fungi and stuff. So he does pretty good business. But I was getting a fairly low click-through rate with him, and I thought, oh, what do I do? And I came up with this like packaged offer. I called it like the deluxe exterior package or something. And everybody
Yes.
seemed to love it. There was loads of comments and all like, oh, how much is this? And people tagging their friends and stuff, and that did really well. But I guess that was in itself a change in the copy as well. So inadvertently, I did the right thing. I just didn't realize it, you know. So
Yeah, it's also a fundamental change in approach too, right? Like developing an offer around your service is a fundamental. Like I would have done that as part of like a test in a DCT. That's the only difference between the two. A lot of times, if your click-through rate is low, you can artificially like bump it up by making a really compelling offer. I mean, a compelling offer beats pretty much any good copy. Like if you have an offer, if you're given 70% discount on something, like it doesn't matter how good the copy is. It's like you're not gonna get as many clicks and conversions as someone that's just willing to give away stuff. The problem you can run into is that it's not scalable to do that because not everyone's willing to like do the same offer. So the way I approach creating ads is really trying to stay away from using offers as the thing that drives decision, and using an offer as a thing that gets people to make decisions sooner rather than later. So you'll see a lot of ads in like the first sentence is like, you know, special offer for the first 40 people, you know, free roof clean for $400 or something, right? They use some kind of offers like the front and center, the reason that people click the ad. It does a couple of things. Firstly, it like drives people, it like drives the wrong type of person to an ad. Like it like basically cheapskates. If that's like the front and center thing, which can hurt your quality. But it also like for 1 in every 5 customers is willing to just give stuff away. Some people are just like, no, I don't want to give an offer, or I don't want to make a discount or anything. And you don't want to have to recreate ads every time someone does that. So my offers are mainly driven around pain points. So like in that situation there, it could have been just the way the offer was created, but my offer would have been like, you know, you know, I'd have to think of a pain point, but something around like roof cleaning would be like, uh, did you know that mold on your roof is the number one cause of roof leaks in Ireland? I would have led in with something like that, which is like a pain point. No one wants their roof to leak because they know how expensive it is. So it's like it creates this like engagement loop of like, oh, actually, what happens next, you know? So, so I make my ads more pain point driven because it's more universal, especially when you're talking niches that are maybe a little bit more high ticket, like if you were talking about people that re-roof, not everyone is like ready to do a roof right now. So like if your offer is about like getting them to take action now, but you're not like talking to the, so there's going to be, it's too binary. There's going to be people that are like, oh, I'm not ready to do it. I'm just not going to read the ad. Whereas if it's a universal pain point, like, you know, you know, that leaking roof can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages if you leave it, right? Say for instance, it's a universal problem pain point. So like if anyone has a leaking roof, they're going to engage with that ad, which is the right audience. And then I reinforce the pain point going like, yeah, insurance insurance companies mention that like so roofing leak. It's like, did you know that one leak in your roof can drop in 30 liters of water an hour? That 30 liters of water an hour can turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. You know, we've helped hundreds of um, XYZ homeowners um, stop leaks forever with a new roof that's designed for the environment that they're in, something like that, right? So pain point, reinforce pain point, offer a solution, and then sell them on the benefits, and then use an offer to like get them to take action now as opposed to 6 months. So it'd be like, and for a limited time, right at the bottom of the ad, it might be, and for a limited time, we're offering the first 10 people a free gutters with their purchase. So it's like there'll be people like, oh, that's a really cool. I'll think about that once I'm ready to do a roof. But then they see that and like, oh, I don't want to miss out on that. I am ready for a roof. I kind of need a roof, but I was going to wait, but I don't want to miss out on that offer. I'll do it now. So, um, when I'm like developing ads, like let's say I had a low click through rate on that, what I would be doing is like looking at the first sentence and going, is this a compelling enough reason for people to engage with the ad? Like, is that a big enough pain point? Or like, have I worded it in a way that creates an emotional response? That's generally my first like port of call for low click through rate is that, and going like, actually like no one really, this creates indifference, not like a panic in like someone that's got a leaking roof. I need to be more aggressive with what I say, or I need to be more visceral or whatever. Because yeah, the only problem with the offer is like if they don't have it, and that's your like strategy for getting leads. If they don't have a good offer, like it significantly affects the performance of the ads if that's like where you lead. If you build your agency around like using offers as the primary driver.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. I was doing out a script for a YouTube video. Actually, this is just coincidental, and I was essentially trying to format how you should be writing your copies, and I sort of prefaced it by saying I'm not great at this. However, I had gone with call out, so area and ideal client profile, pinpoint, here to help with our offer. What is the offer? Couple of USPs, and then a call to action.
Yeah, cool.
Is that sort of
Yeah, yeah,
somewhat okay? Yeah.
yeah. That's the same premise. You're just using the offer as the first sentence, basically. So all I do differently is like instead of using the offer as the first sentence, I'll use one of those pain points as a first sentence because it's less binary in nature. Like pain points are universal, like amongst human beings. Like we all have pain points, right? Like for me, like hair restoration, right? Someone might go to me and go like, "Oh, save $4,000 on a hair transplant." I'm like, "Well, I don't even know if I want one." I like anytime you create that kind of indifference, like in ums and ahs, you won't get the engagement. Whereas if it's like, you know, are people laughing at you behind your back because your hair's fallen out? It's like if that's a pain point, then people are going to like engage with that a lot more than just offering them money at the forefront, right? So that's why I use pain points personally, just because like they're universal. You know that movie Up, Inside Out, where you got those 5 core emotions. I just try and create one of those with that first sentence, like try and trigger one of those. So it's either embarrassment or fear or anger or you know have joy or whatever. I just try and create one of those, and then just like run with the ball and like just try and like because it comes down to as well like if you can create the pain point properly and you create the solution well, you won't get the issue with lead forms where people like talk about like low quality people not picking up the calls and things like that. if you create a genuine, if you like touch on a genuine pain point and offer a genuine solution, they'll be waiting by the phone. You know, like if you've done a good job of it, you won't have the issues with the quality because they'll be like, why didn't you call sooner? Like, I want to get this fixed. You know, and that's when you know you've done a good job of it. I just don't find when it's just offer driven, it's like the next best thing that pops up in their mind kind of removes all memory of what was previous. So if it's not driven by emotion, the only things we remember in life are tied to an emotion. That's why that inside out works so well, right? It's like you remember your memories are built around some kind of emotional attachment. You know, that you don't remember what you learned at school unless you were, you know, embarrassed beforehand, or you remember all the shit you were embarrassed by at school, and you remember all the stuff that you did wrong, but you know, barely do you remember like, oh yeah, I learned this on this day. It's like the stuff that's tied to an actual, oh, I learned that because it was like a, you know, maybe happy that I was put in front of the class because I got it right. That's the shit you remember. So like the indifference thing is like that's the bit that people don't talk about on Facebook ads is like, it's one thing to like get people to click an ad and fill in a form. It's actually another thing to get them to pick up the phone when you call them. And that's the missing link a lot of people struggle with ads is like they miss that specific element of like their ads aren't driving enough emotion that there's no incentive for the person to pick up the phone because other things in their life have popped up and made it become more important. Whereas if I turned around and was like, bang, like, you know, have you got a tattoo on your face? Like you might have a tattoo on your face or something. It's like tattoo removal. And it's like, are you sick and tired of being judged by your tattoo? Get rid of it forever with minimal pain. It's like, if that's a big enough embarrassment point for you, you'll literally be thinking about it all day afterwards going, I really do need to get rid of this tattoo. And that's when you know it works really well. So there you have it, guys. That is my optimization process. Obviously, it's a little bit more nuanced in specific spots, but that is the game plan I take into it. Now, the reason it is like that is because it's important to make sure that when you're running an agency, you focus on running an agency and you want to make sure that your service delivery and you want to make sure your optimization process scales simply and easily. That's why it's not super complex, but it's super effective. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed that video and I'm going to catch you in the next one. Oh, also, if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe.